What's going on, everyone? And welcome back to TXR, the Xbox Roundtable. And this is episode number 119. I'm your host, Invader, and it is great to be back on air after taking a break last Sunday for the Super Bowl. Hey, do we have any Chiefs or 49ers fans in here?
Don't even start. Don't even start.
Oh, shit. Man.
All right, maybe not. Anyways, we've got a lot to cover as there's a lot of news over the past week or so. But before we dive right into all the hot topics, let me introduce the Emerald Crew, as I'm sure they have a lot to say tonight. Let's start with Tim Dog. Hey, man, how have you been?
Hey, how you doing? What's going on?
It's going all right, bud. It's going all right. Just ready.
Same old for me. Introductions are for the birds. I'm ready to talk to games.
All right. Let's kick this right in gear. All right, Southie, how you been, man? Recovering from last weekend?
I'm still a little bit sad about my Niners losing, man. That was rough. It really depressed me. But yeah,
Kyle Shanahan at it again.
Yeah, got to pick up the pieces. It's baseball season now, so you know what? Let's talk some gaming, man. Everybody knows who we are. Let's get into the topics, brother.
All right. Let's see. I'm also gonna say Megatron. Hey, how's things over there on the East Coast?
It's going great, man. What up, man? I was secretly rooting for the Kansas City. That's it, man. I always like rooting for the underdog. So, congratulations to KC for that win, man. And the coach, he deserved it. So it's a good game. So
it's weird how Patrick Mahomes is an underdog.
Oh my God, my eyes.
Right. And the Niners were the underdogs. Vegas had Niners as the underdogs.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Yep. Shock. Hey, you looking forward to tonight's topics?
Yeah, especially after a lot of stuff I've seen on Twitter lately this week. So yep, let's get into it.
Yeah, I know you've been fired up. Centurion, hey, man, really good show last night on the Shop Podcast. How you been?
Oh, doing pretty good. Thank you for checking it out. It's Sunday night, and it's time to talk about some Xbox topics. I love doing this with you guys every Sunday.
All right, he's fired up. And last but not least, Jeremy Downer. Buddy, just coming in at the end there. How you been doing?
Oh, my God. Last couple days have been insane for me. I went from, obviously, Montana to Seattle to Los Angeles to Portland in a matter of like a day and a half. So I'm like,
hey, condolences, bro.
Yeah, man.
Thanks, buddy. Appreciate that. It's he was 90. My grandfather was 92 years old, so I wish I get to be that
beautiful
old.
Long life.
Yeah, exactly. And he accomplished a lot. So.
Well, I was reading through, a couple of things on Facebook. You have family and friends, commenting. Sound like he was a great man. So you know what? God bless him. And my thoughts and prayers for you guys.
Interesting short story before we get started, but my grandfather came to the U.S. in 1930. And from Mexico, and his father was the actual mayor of a town called Victoria Durango, and he came to the U.S. and he was a soldier. He was in the 187th Airborne Division. He served the country for a few years, and that's how he obtained his citizenship. So he was a good guy.
Well, close. That's beautiful, Jeremy. Again, sorry to hear. My condolences. But hey, let's get right into this. And don't forget, guys, we're on different podcasting platforms: Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, and all kinds of others. Definitely check them out if you would like to listen in and get us on the go. All right, so. Guys, let's kick this off with a really big, juicy topic. And a few days ago, it was announced that the Coalition studio head, Rod Fergusson, is leaving the studio and Xbox Game Studios entirely. In March, he will be moving over to Blizzard to join the Diablo team. So, some pretty big news there, guys, as Rod has a strong history with Microsoft, Xbox, and Gears of War. What are your thoughts on this?
I say, bye, Rod. Bye. Don't let that door hit you on the way out, buddy.
What a dick. Nah, you know what? I like Rod. He's always been a great guy to me. I mean, obviously that's neither here nor there. But I wish him the best in his future endeavors. And Diablo's a big, huge game itself. So he's jumping from the fire to from the pan to the fire. So I'm just like we talked in our chat, and it just makes me wonder, like, was Gears 5 not what they anticipated? You know what I mean? Did they expect more out of it? It just seems like there's more to it than it just seems like there's more to it than just him leaving and say, you know what, I've had my fill, I'm done. So I'd have to go and say that we're disappointed at the end of the day.
Maybe that's just a guess, though, right? I mean, he's been with the Gears franchise at the beginning. Maybe he was just ready to do something else. That decision could have been made right when they acquired, I guess, was it Black Tusk, which then turned into Coalition. And maybe they came in with an agreement. Who knows? Where they say, well, hey, just come out with, give me 2, get things going, and then just if you decide to stay, you stay. If not, you can just go on to do what you maybe wanted else to do, something else other than Gears. I think, if I'm not mistaken, he wanted to do something else. He was getting ready to do something.
Well, no, I get wanting to be challenged and getting something fresh and new and everything, but my whole thing is, I mean, he's Canadian, so something had to have been pretty big for him to move to LA from basically from home. So like I said, I think there's a little bit more to it than just that. It's not, I don't think it's as cut as dry.
I think I mean, are you done, Megatron? Sorry.
Yeah, I was just I'm fine. I'll jump in and out, but I just hope, Rod's a great guy, man. Like, I've met him in person before. I have like this one piece of memorabilia, South helped me out big time with, that I'll never ever let go with. Having autographed, signed Gears of War Elite controller, brand new. He was such a great guy. I mean, I met him so many times. I mean, LA, New York, East Coast, West Coast, and he's always really expressed, how passionate he was for Gears and just games in general. You played with him online on Xbox Live quite a few times, and I just hope that he left on his own, like it was his decision, and kind of that's it, just because he wanted to be to do something different, and that's all it is, and as simple as that. My only concern is now what everybody else is probably sure thinking is, well, what's next for the franchise? What are we going to do with Gear 6? Are we going to take a breather and wait for a while? I mean, I enjoyed Gears 5 for what it was. Enjoyed the story, and more importantly, the multiplayer and the different game modes. So I had no complaints from that end. So
I think it was his decision, obviously, because you don't go from Gears franchise to Diablo if it wasn't. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So I think it's good news for Xbox and the Coalition, to be honest. That's just my opinion, but the series just wasn't, or it isn't what it used to be from the single player experience. You can say what you want about multiplayer, but what made Gears great, was its big, huge set pieces, characters, level design. I mean, you guys know that. And 4 and 5 was just not there for me. What's weird about the entire thing is, there was levels and parts in the game, especially in 5, where or early on, where you see the team, what the team's capable of producing. I seen it, like in Gears 4, for example, when in the beginning, South, me and you talked about this. We're massive, which probably wasn't your favorite part, but those parts, and you see those set pieces, and I was in awe during the first 30 minutes, hour of Gears 4.
Right.
And Gears 5, when your whole entire team gets wiped out, For those who know how games come together, it's like puzzle pieces where you have 1,000 pieces on the table, and basically everything comes together to form kind of a beautiful image. But it was like the Coalition, they built the outline of the puzzle, and the whole thing didn't get the entire middle piece didn't get finished, and that's what kind of these games feel like, to where very underwhelming in my opinion. I thought they did a poor job with the entire Gears universe from a fan's perspective. But whoever takes over Rod's job, they're going to have a real challenge on their hands, making the Gears franchise part of pop culture again. And I think 343 Studios, and you guys will probably agree with me on this, even more so are they challenged with this burden, and I think neither studio has lived up to expectations. As for why Rod left, I can only speculate. But was the money that much better at Blizzard? Is Diablo really his passion? I have no idea. Or was he receiving a lot of heat because the game did not live up to expectations? At least in my opinion, I think it was the latter. I don't know what you guys think, but
Microsoft definitely pushes for developers to go for those passion projects, and they don't want to dictate what they work on. And I could honestly see Rod Fergusson having a passion for the Diablo franchise. Mike Ibarra had a passion for it.
So you don't think they were restrictive on what they could create? I mean, to me, he could have created the same thing. I mean, just if they wanted to, they could have created a Diablo-like experience. If Microsoft was letting them, or were they exclusively focusing on the Gears franchise?
Well, you've seen them branching out with Gears Pop, and then the other one.
Still in the Gears. It's still in the Gears universe.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I think it's something he wanted to do, obviously.
Well, you know what? The Coalition's a big enough studio where if he had a passion project, I mean, he was in a leadership group for Christ's sake. He could have. I'm pretty sure if Rod wanted to do something, he could have got the back to do whatever he wanted.
And Centurion, I'm sorry if I interrupted what you were talking about.
Oh no, you're all good. This is definitely the conversation I've been looking forward to all week, talking about this, because as soon as I saw him leave, I was like, oh my God, the skies are falling. The Microsoft stock is going to come crashing to the ground. Next generation is not going to happen. No. As soon as I saw him leave and I saw where he was going, okay, it's no big surprise. Mike Ibarra's over there. So Mike Ibarra got over there. Him and Rod had a conversation. Mike Ibarra was probably like, hey, they got this job opening, blah, 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 blah. And there's the rumors coming out that the Coalition is going to start working on a new IP. They're actually going to potentially shelve the Gears franchise, at least for a short term. That probably Rod saw that as a perfect opportunity for him to transition into another company, and for someone else in the Microsoft Studios world actually to transition into his role.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, remember that studio too. Before it was the Coalition, it was Black Tusk, as someone had alluded to earlier, right. And they were working on a new IP. It's just we don't really know what happened to it, but they bought Gears, and obviously they transitioned into.
The crazy thing is there was a lot of hype over that Shang heist.
Yeah, well, anything like that usually gets hyped because it's been just canceled or. But, I think that I remember people being somewhat hyped for it, but I think it got exemplified when they heard it was, it was gone. But as far as, to transition, not to interrupt, but because I haven't talked on this, with Rod, I think it was his decision. So I think if Xbox had its way, they would have rather had Rod. But I think Rod, it was his decision, and I think that... part of it, is not what you think. A lot of people have these nefarious thoughts of, it's because he was, this and that. It sometimes life dictates to you in different ways. So I think anybody speculating on that, it's hard to do that. But
no, what do you mean, Jimmy? Because I'm curious. What are you?
Well, I mean, just like it's just like,
what do you mean?
Well, people think that it's because he's mad or because it's because he was Xbox was mad because it didn't do well and they had some type of fight. From what I heard, he left on his own volition. Like they would have rather had him than not lose him. But the reasons, and I don't know the exact reasons, but you never know. You never know in life what is thrown at you. It could be a kid going to a different school or something to that nature. So I think it was more of a life thing that he might have done this. But again, it's all speculation at this point. But I do know that if Xbox wanted him, probably they would have kept him, because he is probably, if you line up their talent, he is probably the number one or number two developer that with the most prestige.
Most definitely. Yeah. And then he was known as a fixer.
Yeah.
He knows how to close. Yeah, he's clutch.
Well, yeah, he was the guy that said, I'll get this done in 2.5 years, and he got it done in 2.5 years. The thing is that I think, and people will say, oh, you're damage controlling and this and that. I think this could be something where it gives Xbox a little bit of flexibility. They can. I think Gears needs a rest. I think Gears needs a rest, first of all.
Yeah, it did.
So, and I do think that maybe it needs a change of direction and change.
Yeah, agreed.
Some new blood.
Some new blood on it. So it's going to work itself out. I mean, it's to think that the world is falling, like Centurion was saying, and believe me, there was some of that. It's so silly. It's just any business, any kind of company is going to have something like this happen. It's going to have high executives leave. It's going to have people leave. It's going to have people take their position. So it's more or less, it's just the industry. And it's part of the industry, and it is what it is. But I don't think anybody should draw any conclusions. But I do think that I can tell you one thing. I think Xbox would have rather have had him because he's so good. When you can have a guy that can just take a studio and make a game in 2.5 years and say you're going to do it and actually get it done is a rare thing. And that's what Rod did with Gears 4. Now, as far as it missing some of its notes, as Jeremy has pointed out, that's debatable. I liked 5. I love the direction of 5. But it definitely didn't resonate like they thought it would. I think that everyone, and you and I, South, know that it didn't meet all expectations.
And I think he did a great thing bringing structure to a new studio, new team, showing them really how to make a game, how to get it out. Because they were all new group. They didn't work with each other. It was previously I think a flight simulator studio before it was Black Tusk. So I think he did some good there, really showing them, because he's been called in to do BioShock Infinite to make sure that got out on time, because it was going through some development hell.
Yeah.
Well, and I'm not saying he did a bad job. Okay, that's not what I'm saying. But I'm saying maybe the expectations were too high. I don't know, but for myself, for my opinion, 4 and 5 did not meet expectations, and that's the only thing I'm saying. And
I think what you're saying is, and I could say, well, because I've been with you from the start of this. I remember we saw it at E3, and you were even at E3, you were like, I don't know about this, and you weren't happy throughout 4 and definitely 5. I think that they thought maybe they could just make Gears and everything would turn out great, and they would just do a cookie cutter presentation of what you would think Gears would be, and everything would turn out. But I think you're onto something when you say it didn't hit all its notes, because if it did, I do think that I think if it did, to be honest, I think Rod would still be here.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, if you want to be honest about it, like, he probably would still be here. So it's definitely part of the disappointment that he left, and that was probably something that he left behind him. But if everyone had their way, Xbox would still have Rod, and Rod would still have Xbox. But it didn't work out that way, and that's just that's just the way business goes sometimes. And you can't say the world is full and the sky's full and everything's wrong. It's just that's sometimes the way it turns out.
And Diablo is a bigger IP, so maybe he wanted to.
Yeah. And then Mike, like somebody pointed out, Mike was definitely instrumental through that. And you know what? Kudos to Mike, because Mike, that's what Mike's supposed to do over there, right? He's supposed to go and he's supposed to get talent. You know?
Maybe Mike achieved everything he could with the Gears franchise and just wanted to tackle a new.
Oh, you mean Rod? Yeah.
I'm sorry, Rod. Who did I say?
You said Mike.
Mike.
Wow.
You said Mike Ferguson. No, let me start. You said
no. So yeah, Rod Fergusson definitely probably wanted a new challenge outside of Gears, because you guys keep making reference to him going in and being a fixer, a guy that gets things done. Let's look at what's going on with Blizzard right now. They need a lot of damn help, and there's people out there that enjoy taking challenges like that on. Or maybe we're secretly seeing Microsoft plant people inside Blizzard because they're going to try to undermine the company to make them the next studio purchase.
I thought about that.
We'll just sneak them in one at a time.
Maybe. Well, like, I'm not a doom and gloomer, and this isn't Rod's first time again moving to another studio, so it just seems normal. Maybe he wants to try something new, and hey, you know what? As much as I know that he loves Gears, the Gears of War franchise, with a passion, at the same time, maybe you just want to try something new, right? So, but. Guys, it's interesting because following Rod's tweets about his departure and all that, a former lead Gears designer, and I'm talking about Cliff Blazinski, Cliffy B, he chimed in offering to consult on the Gears franchise. Now, how would you guys feel about Cliffy B coming back to Gears?
Nothing will be more exciting probably than Cliffy coming back. Whether it's consulting on the franchise, doing something, but I think it's a great idea how the game would kind of take shape to bring it back, to prominence. But, when he said the one thing, I think I have it in quotations here, when the one thing they haven't gotten into, which, and even he was excited for, he quoted that saying he has something on paper for Gears 6. At that time it was 4, I believe. What was it? 4?
Yeah, it was 4. Yeah, he said 4.
But if he has that in his sleeve, if I was Xbox or Microsoft, why wouldn't you? He was even willing to give the notes to Xbox.
To Rod.
Yeah, to Rod. Yeah, was it Rod?
Yeah. Well, and it'd be nice to see what because obviously you want the DNA from the originals, and Rod's had his turn the last 15 years or whatever. Let Cliff throw some ideas their way. Maybe he'd have a fresh take or some good leads. It'd be nice to see somebody else put some ideas and not just Rod being the be all end all.
And Cliffy was in an interesting spot. You guys remember when he was at Boss Key Productions, and you can see just how hard it is, to set up if you're a game developer in general, to keep those doors open.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought Lawbreakers was a good game. I don't say it was a bad game. And
it came out at a time where there's too many. It was oversaturated.
Yep, Battle Royale. Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Yep.
Too many Battle Royale games, oversaturation. You had the big two at the time, which was PUBG and Fortnite.
And Overwatch.
Well, Overwatch.
And Overwatch. Oh yeah, Overwatch.
Well, that was the one that was most, compared to was Overwatch.
Yeah.
Overwatch or Battleborn.
Yeah.
And his game it got left behind, and I think he created the other one. I forgot what the other one was.
Look, Battleborn, same thing, and that came from what's it called?
Yeah. And everybody gets on those like what South was talking, the oversaturation of these genres. At first you've seen what is considered Smite. What's Smite considered? I forgot.
It's not MOBA, is it?
Yeah, I think it is
a MOBA.
Yeah, MOBA. So you've seen the MOBA craze, and then you've seen the Battle Royale craze, and like everybody just saturates the market, and it just gets oversaturated.
Yeah. Well, if you got Call of Duty going the way of Battle Royale, you know what I mean? That's a little that says something.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But I think Cliff, obviously in his life he's got other things going on, in a direction his career path is going. It'd be nice to see him come back, and obviously he's not going to come back and take control of the coalition, and nobody expects him to. But it would be really.
What's Cliff doing now? Is he?
He's doing Broadway plays. He's producing Broadway plays.
Oh, okay. Well.
He's a creative guy, and it's right. Funny. I don't find it funny that he's doing that specific thing. Broadway plays. You get to create. You get to do your own thing, and it's kind of like building a video game. It's one of those things where
he's actually tweeted that it's there's a lot of overlap. Shipping a game and producing a musical. You'd be surprised how close that a lot of it is. And like I said, it'd be nice to see what Cliff has in mind. Because I remember I talked to him right after Gears 4 came out. And I'm not going to say what he told me. Obviously that was just it was a behind the scenes conversation, but it was crazy to see his idea. Because he had just beaten 4, and he like I said, he made some comments, and right then I was like, wow, I'd like to see what he would do. How which direction he would take it, and. It wasn't not even an hour after Rod announced that he was moving on that Cliff was like, "Hey, I'll consult. Let me know. You got my number. Holler at me."
Well, I think at that time, once fans were just blowing him up, saying, "Hey,
people's been hitting him up since ever since the coalition came together. They're like, "Come on, Cliff, come, go work at the coalition. Save Gears." And honestly, I don't think one person can save Gears. It's gonna take a village.
Yeah.
Well, for me, if they're gonna go with Gears, I think he's somebody that you would like to add into the mix. Do I find it happening? No. But if because Microsoft, I think, plays it too safely and things like this, and I think that they might be a little,
foolhardy. They're too proud.
Yeah, and there were certain things that went down that I'm sure that they didn't like. Lawbreakers not coming to Xbox probably pissed them off. Certain things, and there was certain things that were said. But
back and forth going, even with Mike Ybarra, I guess he was saying how you would simply just flick a switch or something. How easy it was to port one over to the other.
I can't hear you.
You can't hear me?
No, I can hear you now. But listen. What I would do, and this is if which it'll never happen, I would bring him out to fanfare and E3 and announce that he's going to be part of the consultation or going to be part of Gears, and actually utilize him. But what I see really realistically, nothing's going to happen. They might be working on a new IP at this point. At this point, I do think that the whole thing, everything is put on hold right now, and they are going to be looking for somebody to fill Rod's position. Once they fill Rod's position, then they're going to make the decision: do we go on with Gear 6 or do we give it a break? Now, I think that there was talk to give Gear 6 a break, even so. So I think that that's a possibility that this franchise gets a break, and I do think it kind of needs it.
And actually that makes sense too. Because do you think that this break that Microsoft's going to give Gears, do you think that coincides with Rod saying, you know what, it's a good time for me to bounce? If we're going to give it a break, a year or two, you know what, I want to do something else with my time, so I'm just going to go ahead and move on.
Yeah, I mean, we can only speculate, but I think it was a number.
Well, yeah, it's all speculation. Obviously, we're not, we're not a fly on the wall in any of these meetings. It's just for me, it's kind of hard to take it in when like I said, Rod was on the leadership committee. You know what I mean? He's on the leadership team. He's like Tim said, he's a big part of the Xbox ecosystem. You know what I mean? So for him to give it up, it had to be a pretty big situation.
Well, it goes back to what I was saying. I think Jeremy definitely agrees. If this game was a huge success, none of this would have happened. We wouldn't be talking about this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So the fact of the matter that the game didn't perform the way that they wanted.
Well, it sounded like it being in Game Pass was still. Didn't they say it outsold Gears 4 like in that first month?
Yeah, it outsold. It did well, but you're talking about when you look at games that you look at other games,
and it was in Game Pass, so
it was in game. It had 3 million players. It did outsell Gears 4, but Gears 4, from what I heard, was a complete surprise. It didn't do well at all, expectation-wise. The expectations for Gears 5 was huge, and I just don't think that they met it.
You know what? And it just when you really look at it, though, and I know Jeremy has an idea about this, but compare like the backing that they've shown Sea of Thieves versus Gears, and it seems like Sea of Thieves has more longevity and legs than Gears 5 does already, and it's only been not even 6 months since this came out.
Something like that. And it's kind of telling when, after about a month or a couple of weeks after Gears 5 came out, like there really wasn't a lot of buzz, a lot of talk about it, which, for like a game that has a lot of multiplayer elements to it, it's kind of not a good sign, unfortunately. No. I mean, like, don't get me wrong, I do like aspects of the game. I'm kind of with Jeremy on how my feelings of the game are, but I do think that there was some content lacking at launch, unfortunately, especially for
sure.
Yeah. And then there was the whole microtransaction thing as well. People were up in arms about that. And
which I don't really get. They take out the loot boxes and then the maps are free. First Gears, they never charge you for maps. But everybody's like, well, this is because of Game Pass because of those prices. If that people are going to keep the loot boxes because those would make more money than high-priced items that you're getting. Like, it doesn't really make any sense with at least the Game Pass critique I hear people say. But
yeah, I don't know. I just I can sit here and speculate and kind of wonder what the hell really happened, but I think it goes way deeper than what just he wanted a change. I think it goes deeper than that.
Well, I hope for the best, and at least we got Gears Tactics coming out in April, so we'll see.
Hopefully.
Are you gonna be hooked on that?
Yeah,
Megatron, you can be hooked on that like you are with Gears Pop.
That's not going to be a cell phone game, though, right? Like
no. Well, hopefully they don't have fucking microtransactions where you're spending over $1,000 in microtransactions.
Please, no. I'm going to fall right in that trap. I'm going to fall right in. Gears Pop is a fun game,
man. All right, yeah, exactly. It'd be interesting to see where how Rod does. And I wish him the best. Hopefully he does well with the Diablo team, and good things moving forward.
Hey, whoa. Hold on 1 second. Invader, would you agree that if he screws this up at Blizzard, it's going to be a hell of a lot worse in the Gears franchise?
Well, the spotlight's definitely on him a lot more, but that's just because
yeah.
Blizzard has done a lot of screw ups before him. So with especially about the Warcraft thing.
Yeah.
They got a magnifying glass on them like anything right now. Oh, it is terrible. But hey, it'll be interesting to see what happens. I wish him the best. And hey, maybe Cliffy B can, lend a couple of cents to the coalition and see what happens. Hey, and who knows who they'll get as a studio head, right? That's kind of a vacancy to fill. But moving along to our next topic, and Xbox head Phil Spencer made a comment that seemed to ruffle some feathers. And in an interview, Phil stated how Microsoft and Xbox see Amazon and Google as the main competitors going forward. And he went on further stating that, I don't want to be in a fight over format wars with Nintendo and Sony, while Amazon and Google are focusing on how to get gaming to 7 billion people around the world. Ultimately, that is the goal. So, guys, it's very interesting. It's a very interesting comment by Phil here for sure. And fellas, what do you think about what Phil's saying here? How do you feel about it?
Can I hop in first on this?
Go ahead, bro.
Purgatory, the whole last conversation. No,
hey, closed mouths don't get fed, bro. You gotta jump in.
No, he had me stuck in purgatory backstage.
Oh, you're in purgatory. Oh, you're in the green room.
At the mic. You guys want to hear me? So anyway, as soon as I saw this article, I knew all the problems this article was going to create, all because everybody couldn't get to that second sentence where it talked about cloud tech. This whole thing revolves around cloud tech. They're not talking about platform wars or hardware or any of that. They're talking about cloud tech, and he's talking about the two companies that are out there in the world that can afford to have server farms all over the globe to compete with Azure. He wasn't speaking to, like, you guys saw the numbers on how much PlayStation makes Sony, how much money Nintendo makes from Nintendo. And then like Xbox literally was like down in the single digits on how much profit it truly brings Microsoft, because that's not their end all be all. They're not there to create games. They're there to actually create tech. And so when they're talking about cloud tech, their biggest competitors definitely are Amazon and Google. We all see what's going on right now with Google Stadia. Who has that kind of money just to be like, it was kind of a half-ass launch. Oh, well, you know.
And they're still buying studios.
Here's a couple extra billion. No sweat.
Exactly. And then Amazon, they've been sitting in the quiet. You know, we all talk about Sony crouching down and being like a tiger waiting to pounce on next gen. Amazon has been insanely quiet. They have probably been the quietest out of everybody. Everyone knows Amazon has a gaming division, and they don't really know what they're doing. It's kind of going to come out of nowhere when all of a sudden Amazon decides to do something. So I'm really curious what they're going to do. And speaking of Amazon and how much Amazon and Microsoft compete right now, Amazon and Microsoft are actually caught up in a bunch of legal issues because Microsoft actually stole a very important government contract from Amazon, and now Amazon is taking them to court over that.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, man.
So that's what I'm just saying. Like, you know, like, I'm sorry, but when you're arguing in court over military contracts, that tells you who your competition really is. Because, like, no offense to Sony. Sony's a great company. They've done great things, but they aren't that deep where they're in bed with the United States government creating military. You know how much the military uses Azure. You know how much they've invested in Azure. So that's Microsoft's kind of bread and butter right there, is their cloud division. And so as soon as I read this article, I knew exactly who Phil Spencer was talking to. And, you know, like, I'm not insulting anybody, but he wasn't talking to me. He wasn't talking to the gamer. He was talking to the guys that are invested heavily into the actual Microsoft infrastructure.
Well, you know, and the crazy thing is, go ahead, finish, sorry.
Oh, no, I was going to say, did you see the Jack of, what was that website? Jack of Controllers, or I forget the name. But they've took the headline and they rephrased his quote saying, Microsoft says that Sony and Nintendo can't compete with them. Like, oh, they can't compete with them. They had nothing about cloud in the title. So it made it.
Well, they do that shit all the time. That's like not.
Yeah, that's clickbait 101. But no, but you know what? Phil has been saying this about Amazon and for years. This isn't like randomly woke up and said, "Oh yeah, Sony and Nintendo, they're not our competition." No, this is a long time coming, and just for the simple fact, when it comes to big bank take little bank, because you know what? In the long run, why do you think Sony made the deal with Microsoft for the Azure server for cloud tech?
These console numbers are nothing compared to what they're trying to reach. And
you're talking, you got these Sony guys talking about 100 million consoles sold, and Xbox only sold 50 million consoles, and blah blah blah. But what did we just start talking about, Invader? You said 7 billion gamers are trying.
7 billion. Yep.
Yes. So what? 100 million? That's only 10% of a billion, and you're talking about 7 billion that they want to get a hold of. So it just goes. Come on.
Well, they're looking at the bigger picture, right?
It's chess. It's not chess.
Exactly.
It's an untapped gold mine over there.
Exactly.
Like they're trying to beat those other two too.
Yeah, this to me is, as Jeremy would hopefully gonna be laughing backstage, but this is a nothing burger. Okay, this is something that came out in the dead of winter, and where there's no talk other than teraflops and fake insiders and all bullshit being spewed around. Like South said, this has been said by Phil since 2017, since 2016. He basically looked at he doesn't look at Sony as a competitor because they aren't in the same. They are in a sense, but they're not vying for the same things. And at the end of the day, does this affect Xbox in any way? Is this gonna stop Xbox from making Xboxes, from putting Xboxes in the cloud? Is it gonna stop the studios from delivering games? The answer is no. If anything, it's gonna make these studios grow. It's gonna make more studios, and it's going to build out more so. The bottom line is that this was taken as a slight, as if like Sony and Nintendo are small potatoes compared to Microsoft. And you know what? I hate to say it, in the gist of things, where Microsoft is looking and where they're going, I'm sorry, they're set up for next gen. They're set up the right way. Nintendo doesn't even have they don't even have. You have to use your iPhone to use voice on.
They don't even have automatic cloud save.
I mean, come on, Sony is a little bit better, but they're behind too. There is a reason why Sony came to Microsoft and said, "Hey, we see what you're doing. Can we use your tech?" There is a reason why. Everyone has a spotlight on Microsoft. Microsoft is forward-thinking, has been forward-thinking since 2018 with Game Pass, with xCloud, with everything that they're doing. Even within their studios, they're making bigger games with smaller studio size counts through tech and through certain types of technologies and procedures that Hellblade dev, Ninja Theory talked about it. They're doing a lot of they're taking initiative in a lot of ways, and there's no reason to get upset with them, because you know what it is. People want them, Phil, and they want a big fight. They want a big console war, and Phil is just not about that.
No, that's where it clicks. It's all clicks, bro. You know that.
And that's what scares them. And the moron from Jack of the moron from that Jack of controller shit is the guy Alpha freaking. It's a fanboy that's like this Alpha Theta Fox. I don't know. He's the guy that Sony blocked themselves because he was too much of a fanboy on Twitter. Alpha Fox. This guy is well known for being a toxic, Sony fanboy. All of a sudden, he's trying to be like he's a journalist. with these stupid clickbait articles. Behind all those articles, the same dude. He's still a Sony fanboy. So all this is just like I said. My rant is going to be over in 2 seconds. But all this is because there was nothing else to talk about. If Phil said the same thing at E3, guess what? Nobody was swept under the cover, and we'd be talking about 15 other things.
Another thing, though, to add on to like you saying that, this wasn't a big thing that Phil Spencer said. The big example I want to put out there for people is if Sony came out right now and said Microsoft is no competition whatsoever in the television manufacturing sector. I'd be like, no kidding, because Microsoft doesn't make televisions. It's no different than that.
It's just people looking to cause shit. And the old Tim Dog, I would have been fighting. And I actually talked to somebody at Microsoft about this. The old Tim Dog would have been on social media, you're fighting with people. At this point, I'm not going to do that anymore because there's no
pointless.
reason.
It's pointless.
It's pointless and it's stupid. And like Jeremy says, it's a nothing burger.
Nothing burger.
Nothing burger.
And nothing burger.
Well, it's true though. They're just positioning themselves to be like, it's software is going to be king, not hardware. They're positioning themselves all over with their reach, right? On PC, on Xbox, everywhere.
Sony can't even freaking get a show. Why don't we talk about that? 2018. They still in February reveal. I heard from everyone in their mouth. Wow, it's coming. And now it's not coming, and everyone's like, oh, maybe March, maybe the first week of March.
This show is a better show when Tim Dog screams on mic. I'm sorry, but it is.
Everyone wants to scream on mic. It does annoy me. It's like, Microsoft showed off their console. They said, let's go. Here you go. And these Sony stupid fanboys are happy about a PS5 logo and running around town about a PS5 logo, saying you're going to be stomped out in February, Tim Dog. Oh, everything's going to be the February meeting. There's no meeting! Where is it? I mean, come on. I mean, seriously, worry about your own shit. Worry about getting a show that doesn't have a freaking potato salad stand and look like a 2-bit presentation. Actually have a show off your console, and
the last show Sony had, they had some dude up front on stage playing a flute and a banjo. That was literally the last show they had.
2018. I mean, not just the rant goes on, but it's just like concern yourself with. That's such an innocent statement if you really look at it. You look at Microsoft as a company and you put 2 and 2 together equals 4. Obviously, they're going to be going after freaking, Google and Amazon. They're both in the server fields. They both have server farms. They're not going to go after Sony, who's just a video game company at this point that makes some TVs. They're in 2 different sectors. You know what? Just stop, looking for something. It's just stupid. Worry about your own stuff. Get a show. Let's look at what your console looks like and stop listening to fake insiders, please.
I happen to enjoy, I don't know about you guys, but I enjoy console wars. I do. And the reason being is because it shows that the industry is very healthy.
Yeah, it is good.
Well,
it's
no,
good
you know what?
Some aspects.
It's nice to be able to debate civilly, but when all this fucking hate and bashing is when it gets ridiculous. That's what fucking bothers me.
Well, that's the thing. I think that's what bothers Phil too. I mean, Phil has always, been pretty cool. We all think he's a nice guy.
Oh,
but you have people take it to a different level, and I think he gets turned off by that.
Yeah, I think he just wants a fair shake, and just to be honest.
Mm-hmm. No, absolutely.
And I keep seeing this notion that this is going to be Xbox's last console.
Oh yeah, I've been hearing that.
Since the cloud. So the
we've
only
been hearing this for 10 years.
Only
now.
way it's going to happen is cloud gaming off like Netflix.
Uh-oh.
Like if it's the dominant form of media at that point, then Sony's going to be going out of the console business too. If it was that popular, that's the only way that's happening. They're not going to cut out what they. 50 million consoles with a shit console this gen. Why would they leave that behind?
I have a big problem.
They're trying to broaden
there being no hardware.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, but with the way Microsoft is angling is that you need an Xbox in the cloud to work. So
exactly, that's my whole problem with that theory is they're using Xbox One X and One S's to create xCloud now. They're eventually going to probably start using either the Xbox One X or just going all the way to the Series X or whatever they're going to use, or even the Lockhart.
Yeah, I think Lockhart would probably make the most sense.
That's the funny part about it. Like, oh, they're going to end all hardware. Then why? That means they would have to completely shut down xCloud. They have to keep hardware going forward so that way they can keep improving xCloud. And they could be like, oh, we could stop selling the hardware. But why not push it out there into the market? Because we're making it to go in the server rack. So let's also make it a standalone box. So no matter what, I'm holding to the belief that there's always going to be hardware for a very good long time.
Yeah.
I think the only time hardware is going anywhere is when it becomes like Star Trek, the holodeck, where you just go build a room on your house to go play some games.
Yeah, where you press a button and you freaking and something comes up and comes up on a screen, a hologram, and you're like, yeah, I'm ready to go streaming, 2 terabits to your house. And Jeremy, put your freaking green light on. So get it off with that white light.
All right, is it too bright?
Jeremy with his bald head looks like a fucking
bright?
penis.
I don't know. I just like the green light. I just pretend that you're some kind of Xbox guy.
Speaking of which, how you like that headset, Jeremy?
Oh shit, that one, Tim. That's nice.
Right?
Centurion, what do you think about that headset? No
echo.
No echo. Thank God,
dude. The echo was.
Hey, Jeremy, you didn't send me one. You
community.
That's because I owed Tim a lot of money.
Oh, that's right.
You don't know.
I didn't know it was that kind of a relationship.
No. It's because he argues with me with politics and
lost a bet.
And he lost a bet. And then I tell him, don't talk about politics. You don't have to pay me ever again. But he still has to be like, oh, look at this. Look at this.
What headset did he get again?
The HyperX
It's the
Cloud.
HyperX Cloud, yeah.
HyperX. There you go.
Yeah.
Which one?
The Cloud S.
Okay.
Now they're about there. You can get them for $99. I think.
Let me go grab the box. Hold on.
I'm using HyperX Clouds right now on this.
Yeah, let me tell you something. Anybody who needs to get a headset, if you want to get an affordable headset, and you're in that field and you don't want to spend $300, but you want really good quality. Jeremy and I, we had went to Hyper. Yeah, there they are. This particular model is $99 or $119. You'll see it for $119. If you shop around, you get it for $99. Probably, I honestly feel like they're the most comfortable headsets on the market that I've tested. I've tested a lot. So I mean, I haven't tested them all, but this one, the way it fits on your head, and I have a pretty big head, and just wraps around your ear. It's just a real high quality, piece of equipment for what you get for what you pay. Jeremy had me,
they're one of the few manufacturers that still uses metal in the headband.
Oh yeah,
absolutely. Yes.
Well, how would you compare them to the A50s? Because you have A50s as well, right?
I do have A50s, and I hate to say this about the A50s, but the fact that they're wireless. To be honest, if you want the best quality, you're always better going wired.
It's always wired.
That's what I have to say about that. Yeah. I find a lot of with the A50s. Now this is my second set of A50s. My first set, I blew one of the speakers on the or whatever you the mic, the speaker in the headset. Honestly, for $300, I'm gonna say if you're gonna make a relatively same price, you get these guys each and every time, or get 3 of them and give it to yeah, because the wireless is a problem. I don't think that they perfected wireless, and Mike Ybarra has always told me wireless is garbage when it comes to video games. He's always said just use wired. He says whenever you use wired, and I have to agree with him. I don't have I have hissing on on the A50s.
Yeah. A lot of interference. Yeah.
I don't get when it comes to my A50s, I don't have no interference, and there's no lag. And me personally, it has the best sound. Like, especially when it comes to the bass. It does have a great sound.
It does have bass. I agree with you there, and that's the one thing that I'll give it. It's just with all those caveats or problems that we went through, the sound, when it's good, when everything's right, and when you have a thing, it's really loud, really bassy. But the downside is that because you're pushing out so much power, I guess, to this headset, you can break them. So be careful, because I had broken one. And
I've went through a couple pairs of A50s.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, like you'll get like it's just like any other speaker, like it'll crack, and then like I got a crackling, and then I got rid of it, and the most part, but as far as sound, I would say it is pushing this. If you really want the loudest experience, I think the A50s beat it, but I have to say,
a couple of years ago, we got the HyperX from FanFest,
right?
And they weren't bad.
We also got the Plantronics from FanFest, if you remember.
Yeah, those ones
I really like.
garbage.
Those were not that bad.
The HyperX were much better than the Plantronic ones.
Yeah, I agree, Sal. Yeah.
Nice.
So the Plantronic ones were the reason why everyone was hyped up about them, is because. And a lot of people, and I know that we're going way off course.
The Atmos,
it was the Atmos, and the reason they have the marketing deal. Any of these headsets, just so you know, they're compatible with Atmos. That is not something that's exclusive to the Plantronics.
No. The new Astro A50s have the Atmos as well.
Right. Well, at that time, that was the we're going 2 years. They had a marketing deal, but you could actually have headsets, and you can get the experience of Atmos. So I've gotten that confirmed by Reverend Slim, who actually talked to the people at Dolby.
Nice. No, it looks like a solid
HyperX. Nice little bit of selling. So you feel free to send us all
kick us down,
headset, right? And this segment is brought to you by HyperX.
Yeah, I was about to say this review brought to you by HyperX. But no, guys, that's a very sharp-looking headphones there, Jeremy. Thanks for showing them off. And actually, I need to invest in some new headphones now that I think about it. But we're gonna go on to our next topic, guys. And many are expecting Sony to reveal the PlayStation 5 relatively soon. It's not clear at this point, but the clock is ticking on it. But besides the console itself, everyone is wondering about the price. Now, recently, Sony CFO Hiroki Totoki made comments during an earnings call, and
that totally sounds like you're clowning Hiroki Totoki. You know what I mean? Like
Hiroki Totoki.
And I totally sound like a racist, but that sounds like somebody who can talk shit, you know? So go on, continue.
No, unfortunately, no.
Carry on, Invader.
Carry on, buddy. Sorry. Apologies.
No worries. Now, it's suggested that Sony's waiting until Microsoft announces the Xbox Series X's price, that they're going to be waiting. Now, he stated, this is as a translation of what he said, "What is not very clear or visible is because we are competing in the space. It is very difficult to discuss anything about the price at this point of time. And depending upon the price level, we may have to determine the promotion that we are going to deploy and how much cost we are prepared to pay." Again, granted, this is coming off translations, but it does seem like Sony is waiting for Microsoft to announce a price first. Now, guys, do you think Sony are going to play the waiting game with the PS5 price?
Yeah, absolutely. Price is king in console space. It is. And I'm not a huge fan of the whole two SKU.
God damn. Fuck. Timmy, are you all right, bro?
I didn't want to say nothing.
Holy shit. It sounded like you just drank a whole swimming pool in one drink.
I thought I was on mute. I'm sorry. It's the.
Oh
it's
my
the
god, I
freaking-
can't hold it together.
You want another one? I'll do another one for you guys.
Do another one. Go. Ah, that was weak. The other
Ah,
one was
it was-
dude.
What was?
All right.
And the
You sound
show
like a
is officially off
fucking-
the rails.
Yes, it is. So,
oh my
where
god!
was I? Jeez, I'm not a huge fan of the whole 2 SKU concept. And maybe I'm wrong with it, but I don't think they're going to release 2 SKUs. I don't know why, because essentially they'll be, if you think about it, they're going to be releasing 2 launch systems. And we're talking about massive production costs, et cetera, et cetera. But, I think it's more efficient if they release the 1 SKU. And it's a very competitive price point, and why do I think Sony is waiting in the first place? Because they know if Xbox comes out and it's more powerful and more affordable, you can turn the tide with it. You can turn the perception around. I think it's even more important when you launch with Game Pass and xCloud, because what the possibilities are there for new users and new markets. So, and this includes the marketing campaign going forward with xCloud and Game Pass. It's every aspect of the business. And I think they would wait. I don't think we're going to see a price until maybe the new XO20. I don't think they're going to release the price until after E3. I don't know what you guys think.
No, they're going to announce that E3.
Well,
Yeah,
I think
that's
that
usually what they
the
do.
logic would say
And
that, but I agree.
Yeah.
I think that what they should do is they should make Sony
Yep.
sweat, and
Yep.
they shouldn't. They don't have to announce. See, the problem I sometimes have with Microsoft is that they have a set of plans, and by no means that unless it's utter disaster, do they ever change those plans? And one of those examples is DRM. If going into E3, they didn't have to announce DRM.
Yeah.
They could have done exactly what Sony did.
Yep.
But Sony was flexible, and they were smart, and they transitioned. Now in this position, Xbox, I think the reason that Sony is worried is because they have positioned themselves on a $499 price console.
Yeah.
And I think that they want to see if Anaconda is $599. I think it's going to either be $599 or it's going to be $499. But I do think there's going to be $100 difference. But I don't know.
Huh?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. But if
I don't think so. I think they're going to come out really competitive.
Well, if that's the case, then what's Lockhart? How's Lockhart playing to it? The bottom line.
That's what I'm saying. I don't think
like what you said though. Wait after E3. I think that they should. I don't even think that they should have a hardware reveal. If Sony wants Microsoft to have a hardware reveal in April so that they can adjust and they can do whatever they want for May. Now they're hoping to probably get a price. They're hoping to get all that information. Even though, like we were just talking about, that they might not be competing, they are competing in the same space. And within that same space, Microsoft has to be smart here. And the smart way to do it is to say nothing.
Microsoft has to. No, they have to beat the PlayStation price.
Yeah. Well,
they're gonna beat it with Lockhart.
Yeah.
That's
No. But I'm talking about for the Series X, the Anaconda. Yeah. They need to, if not beat it, they need to have the same exact price.
I don't know how you're gonna get that when you're gonna probably have a big power delta gap in power. There's gonna be
Microsoft is gonna have to eat that $150 per console. That lot.
Well, if they could match and they could have a more powerful console, I think that's what Sony's worried.
They got to be aggressive. They got to be aggressive.
They have to.
Well,
because
I do think in the end you're going to pay for what's more expensive, and what's more expensive in the Microsoft box is more expensive than what's in Sony, and it's going to trickle down to the customer. But if you have
but Tim, that's what I'm saying. If they're really competitive at the price point with the new Xbox, as far as the new users go in a new market with Game Pass and xCloud, I think there's an opportunity there. So I'm sorry, Centurion, you're going to say something.
I was just gonna say that we all saw how that $100 price gap totally helped launch the PS4 at the beginning of this gen. It probably would have been a different story if the Xbox One originally didn't have the Kinect shoved in the box with it, but we'll never know. But what I'm getting at is, from at least some of the stuff that I've heard on other shows and read, PlayStation would prefer to sell the PS5 at $500,
right?
But that's only if the Series X launches at $600. And
Yep.
If the Series
that's where I think we are right now. Exactly.
And that's the only thing they don't I guarantee you right now, Sony's probably wondering how aggressive Xbox truly is getting, because they've been used to kumbaya Xbox. They really have been. Xbox has not been aggressive towards them because of just how this generation has gone. But now we're on the dawn of a new generation, and Phil Spencer wants his fair shot at launching a console generation and being successful with it. So I'm pretty sure they're wondering how aggressive Xbox is going to truly get.
Now, aggressive. I'm sorry, Tim. So aggressive that Sony is, they're countering Xbox for everything that they do. They're being reactive as opposed to proactive, like Xbox is doing with this console generation.
Right.
And I think I agree. You're totally onto that.
So let me ask you guys a question. Let me ask the panel a question. Everyone answer. We had just established what we all think that's going on here. If you're in Microsoft's position, do you just hold back the price and do you play a cat and mouse game here? For me personally, I say don't announce anything. Announce until you have to. What do you guys
I would wait. I would wait. I'd be waiting until last minute. I would be holding back as long as I could to where it didn't affect pre-orders. And if we all remember how the Xbox One X was, the Xbox One X was revealed at E3 2017, but the price was like pretty much dropped in the last 2 minutes of the show. And I think that was just because people weren't prepared for that $499 price tag. But they didn't put it up for pre-order until the end of Gamescom the following month in August.
And that's why
2 months later.
And that's why I think that price is coming out maybe during EXO 2020. So we'll see.
They're going to want to put it out. They're going to want to put it out early enough to where they can get pre-orders going.
Yeah, it's true. The pre-order.
You don't want a 2 month cycle for pre-orders. You're probably wanting like 3 months.
They could do Gamescom for it probably at the latest.
Because if they go off the same strategy with the Xbox One X, it released November 7th, I believe it was, 2017. And so Gamescom is August, so you'll have August, September, October, a little bit. So you'll have about a 3 month window period of time to actually grow your pre-orders.
Yeah. And I think this really does point to the PlayStation 5 being $500. Listen, this generation, it's the best thing that they went for that type of technology at the $500. And in my position, I think Xbox had to do the two SKU, strategy for the reason being they couldn't have a repeat of what they had last year.
The only way they can have a $600 console is if they have that 2 SKU.
Well, if they have a $299 lock cart, then,
I think that's the only way that $599 model is going to work.
I think that's where they're going to get at. Now, roughly the pricing might not be that, but it could be $349. Even if the lock cart's $349, that's pretty good.
What's your guys' take on the whole 2 SKU concept, though?
I like it because it ensures. Like it. Okay. I think that they needed to have the most powerful console.
I never fed into the supposed ignorance of the consumer when there's 2 SKUs, because
when
you go buy a cell phone, that means when you go buy a cell phone, you know what you want. You want to know how much memory you're going to use, all that other stuff. I knew I wanted a Samsung Galaxy Note 9 for the features. When you go buy a television, dude, if you start trying to get a TV in Samsung, now you got to start learning the differences between HDR standard and HDR premium, because there's now two different versions of HDR through Samsung. I mean, like, I don't really see like the ignorant consumer as a very good argument, because people are informed. They have cell phones in their pocket. We all know how many people turn to social media and shows like this to get their information. So I just don't really see that many people living under a rock. Microsoft understands, though, that there's people out there in this world that can't afford a $600 console, so they want to give them an option. That is one thing Microsoft has always been pushing forward, is to be that company of options. If you can't afford a console, we got xCloud. If you can afford an entry-level console, we're going to have Lockhart. If you want the creme de la creme, the most best Xbox experience you could have outside of PC, Series X.
Yeah, well,
I agree though, because you know what, when people start saying, "Oh, that's going to confuse people," and blah, blah, it's like, what? How many different iPhones are there? How many different models of Samsung Galaxy phones are there? Like, or the whatever TVs, you name it. Everything has different SKUs and models. Come on, you're just picking shit just to pull shit out of air.
Well, I see somebody in the
chat. I think what people forget is that if Lockhart comes out,
no, you go.
Oh, I was going to say, I think what people forget is about Lockhart is it's going to have that. It's supposed to have that same SSD, which when you show the consumer, like at the store, they can visually see the difference of what the SSD is going to do for their gaming. Versus if it's a 2K box versus a 4K box, they're probably not going to even notice a difference. So they can show them, hey, we do have this Xbox that's more expensive than, say, the PS5, but we got this lower one that, it's basically doing the same thing, and they can see the difference there, and it's $100 cheaper than PS5. That's a
good point.
The only way I could see this creating a situation of confusion is because, like, in the chat, somebody mentioned about how some people thought Xbox One couldn't play used games for the longest time. We all know how Microsoft has kind of dropped the ball with marketing this gen. If they have a 2 SKU system, that is one thing that they need to hit a home run on, is definitely getting the information and the marketing out there that there is a 2 SKU system, and that the Lockhart is this and the Series X is that. They need to basically kill the confusion through a good marketing campaign towards a 2 SKU system.
Yep.
Well, they definitely don't want a repeat of 2013, and they have to be on point when E3 comes around. They have to get that messaging out. They have to show people the differences, and just give people a reason to buy into it. So definitely looking forward to all that, guys. We're probably going to move on to the next topic. Or do you guys want to touch on anything else before we move on?
No, we spent a lot of time on that one. Where did Tim go? I want to hear his him drinking that swimming pool.
I don't know. He just kind of dropped out. I don't know where he went. But probably going to make more noises with God knows what else.
That swallow came down like the thunder. I'm sorry. that made me laugh so hard.
Oh, never mind. Great. Wait. Timmy.
Oh, there he is.
Timmy's new
did you get some? Did you go get some more soda for the show?
No, that was water.
He's like, nah, I'm drinking bath water.
Hey,
I'm on a diet, you schmuck.
Oh.
Oh, that's angry. That's the angry diet.
Yeah, right. Fuck.
10 push-ups on the show right now if you shut up.
Hey, wait a minute. If he's drinking bathwater,
I'll pay you $20 to see fucking 10 push-ups.
You know, Paris is in chat. I think you've seen Paris, and you realize that you had to step your game up, right?
Yes, he's awesome. I can't believe that
Paris is in the building.
So
shout out to him. I love that dude.
Paris is gonna be going crazy. Everyone's gonna be like, "Yeah!" The Paris is gonna be like, "Yeah, Phil, we love you." No, but I'm very happy for them that they got Phil on their show. It's a great thing. Good. They deserve it.
1,000 shows, man. Wow.
Like,
1,000 episodes.
Yeah. That's fantastic.
Yeah.
We can't wait to listen into that.
Yes, I'm sure that they're going to make some news. I'm sure Phil's going to say something.
Nice.
All over the place.
I hope so. They deserve it.
They're professionals.
They deserve it. That Phil is probably going to give them a little nugget of information like Phil usually does. I remember when Phil did what was the Inner Circle, and they were they were just starting out, and Phil did their podcast, and a lot of people like to jump on Phil and go after him and this and that, but it's nice that he does these things with the community. I mean, this is to get a guy of his stature on a show. Yeah. I mean, the show is a very big show, but Phil hasn't done a show like that in a long time, so it shows that he's in tune with the community. He's in tune with what matters, and when you hit 1,000 podcasts, that's a lot of dedication. And
not only that,
that's going to be
these guys are
going to be a great thing to listen to.
And those guys are really talented. Paris, very talented. What he does, very informative. They're great.
Yeah, Paris kills the fanboys. He's like a fanboy killer.
No, you know what? Paris is, he's so good at shutting shit down.
And he's like, look what I'm playing. I'm going to be waiting for this to come on PC. But he does it in a way that, is not, Islamic.
Smart. It's smart.
Like, he doesn't even have to be a dick about it. It's so cut and dry. It's amazing.
The rest of the people on the show also are great too. So, like I said,
Pete and Danny,
a huge show for them, and I think everyone here and everyone listening to the show will be tuning in, and I think that, like I said, Phil's probably going to drop a little bit of something.
Invader, do me a favor when that episode hits. Make sure we send out a tweet to kind of promote what's going on over there and spread the love, spread the word.
Absolutely.
I'll definitely be tweeting that out.
It's coming out tomorrow, right?
As it goes on.
Yeah, I believe it's tomorrow.
Tomorrow, yeah.
Wow.
So definitely, everybody, check out Gamertag Radio. That's going to be exciting with Phil Spencer on, and Paris, we look forward to that, my friend. But yeah, you know what, guys? We're going to move on to what's probably going to be our last topic. And, speaking of Phil Spencer, I tell you, Phil certainly, he likes to drop little tidbits every now and then. And in a tweet, he stated that he had met up with Matt Booty and who else? Oh, and the Initiative studio head, Daryl Gallagher. He went on saying, incredibly talented studio, challenging themselves to do new things and old things in new ways. Now, this certainly set off a flurry of questions, as we thought the Initiative was just working on something entirely new. Is it possible that they're reviving an old IP, or are they working on multiple titles? Guys, what do you think about this?
I think it's first. Yeah, go ahead, Sal.
Yeah. I definitely.
Sal just fell down the stairs. He's all right.
No, seriously.
To the bathtub. He's all right. He's just watching.
Whoa, yeah, I got to get my bath before you drink all the water up.
I don't know what's happening.
Wait a minute. I thought we were selling the bath water.
I'll jump in because Sal's not answering.
He's selling the bath water.
It's Perfect Dark, and Phil is notorious for giving us these little hints that mean something. So I'm going to take it. I'm going to take the bait. I'm going to say Perfect Dark. He's a fan of Joanna Dark, and they're going to be doing something really cool with that franchise.
So what makes you think it's the franchise, Perfect Dark franchise?
Well, I can tell you that I know that Phil's been a big fan of Joanna Dark.
Yeah.
since I remember him tweeting about it in 2015 that he looks. I don't know if I can find the tweet, but he has definitely in the past said that. And I've heard internally through guys like the people that usually get some type of information fed to them.
Yeah.
Like Rand and stuff like that. That Perfect Dark is has been in the works or has been something that they've been looking to push for the longest time. I've been hearing about Perfect Dark since 2017 from various people. So when he tweeted that, like I said, that one to me just said, there you go. There it is.
Well, when he tweeted it out, he also threw the little winky face too.
Say, oh well, they had that. The game is 15 years old. It's probably going to be nothing like the original. And it'll just be it could be totally different name. I just think that they want a strong action adventure female lead like Lara Croft.
Yeah, absolutely. They could do a lot with that franchise too, and the character Joanna Dark. But who knows? Maybe they're working on Fable 4.
Well, you gotta say it's the perfect. I was gonna say it's the perfect climate for a title like Perfect Dark. It has a strong female role.
Invader, did you just fall down the stairs, Invader?
Yeah, I probably did. I'm sorry, Invader. Did I cut you off?
Oh no, it's okay. I was just gonna comment saying, look who they hired talent-wise, because they got Sony Santa Monica guys, Naughty Dog, Insomniac, Rockstar. I mean, these are all like third-person kind of action games. A lot similar to like Lara Croft and all that. So I can definitely see them putting all of this into like reviving Joanna Dark for a new Perfect Dark game.
And Invader, wouldn't you? I'm sorry, Centron, but wouldn't you say, Invader, that the Perfect Dark series hasn't been fully explored yet? And I think there's a lot of opportunity there from a gaming perspective and a narratives perspective. To kind of flesh out the Perfect Dark world and its characters and stuff like that. So I think it's going to be. I think we're going to find out in a few months. Exactly what they're going to put together or what they have been putting together. Maybe it's a couple games, but who knows?
Mm-hmm. Well, you know what? And it just goes back to what everybody's saying that, Microsoft likes to go in the direction that, a Joanna Dark game, a female protagonist, going for, they want the Lara Croft. You know what I mean? They that's just the way that not just the gaming industry, but the movie industry, that our society as a whole is going in. You know what I mean? Like
look at some of the titles PlayStation has come out with: Horizon Zero Dawn, Last of Us 2.
Yeah, they want Last of Us 2, huge. They want a strong female, flavor.
Yeah.
I just don't like how people are up in arms over the whole idea of like, oh, there's no creativity. They're just gonna use an IP that they've already got. We want new IP. Well, but I know what you're gonna say, Downer. But here's the only thing I have to say to that. Why is it so wrong to reach into the grave of 15 years of Perfect Dark and resurrect that whole franchise? Because it's a really good franchise.
Yeah.
It has a good background story. And like you said, a world that's actually not been explored very well.
Right.
Why is it wrong to pull that out of a 15-year, just silence, but it's okay to completely redo God of War? And that, basically Game of the Generation, God of War, was an already established IP. It wasn't new IP.
To be fair, though, it is apples and oranges. One's fiction and one's nonfiction. But yeah, I hear what you're saying.
Fiction and nonfiction. That's technically he's a god, and they're living gods, and they live in a world of total fantasy. And Joanna Dark is a special agent in the.
I'm sorry, you were talking about Call of Duty.
No, I was saying God of War.
Oh, I thought you said
Call of Duty. What the hell?
I thought you said Call of Duty.
Throw him out with the
I
bathwater.
said God of War.
I fell down
What
the stairs and hit my head.
Oh my God! What just happened? What is going on with tonight's show? Are people drinking, Invader?
We're fucking. I'm
I
drinking,
know. I think
Drinking
I'm
bath
gonna.
salts.
the bubbly.
Honestly,
Guys, you're gonna have to do tests
thought he
before the
was talking
show.
about Overwatch.
I thought he said Call of Duty. Jesus.
No, I
Christ.
said God of War. No,
All right.
we already know Call of Duty gets a new title every single year. That's like rinse and repeat
You know what
right
it is?
there.
It's just something that fits into the narrative, so people are going to use it. But if you really look at it, 15 years old, older game, they didn't really establish anything at all with Perfect Dark. It's more or less a new IP, just with a similar face. What
Okay, but let me even throw this out there. I mean, look at the hysteria that Fantasy Online is going on right now. Like
everyone's going.
me personally, I don't even know what the damn game is about, but there's so many people going nuts over it.
Oh,
Yeah,
I love that
over-
game.
It's a great game.
I love that game.
I played
Which
it
game?
Originally.
Fantasy Star Online 2.
I'm gonna
Yeah,
get my first
yeah,
dose
and
of that game
that's-
when it comes out.
You know,
It's
and
gonna
that's
be
one of
free-
the.
It's gonna be free to play, right?
Well, that's one of the original Xboxes, like mainstays, right? So,
Yeah.
like, I just a lot of people going nuts over it, and
Well,
so it kind of fits that same
I heard it
idea
looks really good.
of Perfect. Joanna Dark.
Now-
It's like nostalgia.
Yeah. Well, people just,
It
I
scratches
remember
an
when-
itch. What I'm
I
saying.
remember when Fantasy Star came out, and it was huge. We're talking about never been done on consoles, with the whole online multiplayer aspect of the game, and this new one's going to be no different. People love Fantasy Stars. Fantasy Star 2 will be no different, and I think it's going to be a great entry in the series.
Well, is it? I'm confused. Is it a new game? Isn't it a remake of an old game?
Well, it's been out. It's been out for a little while in Japan, I believe, right?
Yeah,
So
it's just not been
Phantasy Star
localized.
Online-
Yeah.
So Fantasy Star Online is the game now, because we're going back now. Fantasy Star Online is the game that we all played, right?
Right.
So this is the second one. So this is a new one.
This is a new one.
No,
Correct.
it's this.
Yes, it's part two.
It's not.
Yes.
It's newer
not
from
new,
that, but
new,
it's
but
like a
it's-
decade old. Yeah.
It never came out on 360 though. Fantasy Star 2, right?
No, it was never out in the West at all.
Nope.
It's people been
Oh,
using
I
different means to be able to still play it.
Now,
You know,
is it
even
free
though
to
it's-
play, or are we just talking to our?
Yeah, it's free to play.
It's gonna be free to play.
That's really it's in the Insider. If you're an insider, you can download.
Yeah, you can download it
Yep.
right now.
I tried popping it
today's
in.
last day, right?
Yeah, today's the last day though.
I tried. The servers weren't up when I tried to launch it.
Yeah, I actually got to play a little bit last night, and my wife was like, "What are you playing, you uber dork?"
Who were you on last night? Were you on with anybody, or you just?
No, I was
Well,
solo.
Should have texted me, you shithead.
Well, honestly, you're always showing offline, so I don't know when you're on or when you're not on.
Because I get every time I go online and I go on, I get bombarded, and people are like, "Hey, I'm like I just want to play a game, bro." I mean, I hate to be like that, but it's just.
Hey, that's what happens when you're coming up on
Celebrity.
20K followed, buddy.
It's not even that.
Yeah, that's
I don't wanna
amazing,
sound
bro.
like that.
Congratulations on that.
I don't want to sound like that, but I've always kind of been, like to me when I game, sometimes I just want to game and not talk to anybody.
Yeah, of course.
I mean, with Xbox, it's so social that a lot of times, the do not disturb, I put that up too. But that doesn't help. People will still ask me, but I mean, I just sometimes just like to just sit back and not be annoyed by I shouldn't say annoyed, or just be
bothered.
Be bothered, because when somebody does DM me, I'm not one of these guys that just lets it stay. I'll answer it, and then I'll be nice about it, and you get like 5 of them. Sometimes it can annoy you.
So
that's why
Tim,
I've been staying offline.
Tim, why don't you do this moving forward? Why don't you text us in DM saying, "Hey guys, I'm gonna be on," and maybe we can join you. So yeah.
Well, it's not with you guys. It's just like, you know.
Because I'll bring the bath water.
Because I'm looking for you online too. I'm like, what the hell? This guy's never on. Maybe he's drinking more of that.
Honestly, the last 3 months, I've turned it off because it got to the point where, and like I said, I'm not bragging or anything or to think because I'm a nobody. Like, but it's just when I get on, it's just like, you know, there's some people I would like to talk to, but then there's like other, like I get bombarded. I get like, you know, who's playing with who, and then
we get it, bro.
Then if I do play with somebody and they want to get into the chat, they'll like get me in there. You know how it is.
Yeah.
Usually, what I do is I set up gaming on Twitter with somebody, and then I just stay offline. You know.
Yeah.
But you know, I definitely.
And we need to get Shock in the mix too. Come on, Shock. You're
Shock.
like Shock's like we asked him to play.
Like, I need that 10%.
Jeez.
Oh yeah, because I get off at like 9 o'clock at night, and then.
But still, Shock. That's not the point.
Yeah, that is a point. Well, and I'm on the Eastern time zone, so by the time
9 o'clock at night, I'm up till 1 o'clock in the morning in my time zone. You can always hit me up.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. Well, not all of us are Eastern time zone. I think just me, Tim, and Megatron. So
I thought Shock just said he was on Eastern time.
I am, yeah.
Oh, you are? Okay. Okay, I thought you were like Mountain Time or something.
No, that's Jeremy.
Oh, yeah, true. But
Red Mexican.
During the winter, I am on Mountain Time. During the summer, I am on Western or Pacific Time, whatever you want to call it.
Gotta love Arizona.
I know.
We used to have the same thing. Central Indianapolis, where I am now, only the central part of Indiana would be on no daylight savings time. The rest of Indiana would.
I think it's funny when you like get that little thing like when you're on something and it asks your time zone and you have to look specifically for Arizona just because Arizona is like the sovereign state of time zones.
It's weird watching cable like back then because then the shows would go on at different times, different parts of the year.
Oh yeah, no, I get through
like,
DirecTV.
Totally throw me off.
DirecTV is their main dish is East Coast based. So anything that comes on at 9 o'clock at night on the East Coast, I'm watching at 6 o'clock.
Yeah, so you can watch the rated R movies.
Oh,
yes, I could watch the rated R movies while the kids are still awake.
I don't want to. Yeah, I don't want to talk about that. It's never mind.
And no, I don't have those channels.
You gotta go watch a movie, Jeremy.
Dude,
yeah, all of a sudden he's like, I gotta go. Really?
That Skinamax used to be my jam, bro.
It used to be all of our jam. I remember.
Who didn't like it?
Put it this way: I remember when I was a kid watching Skinamax in Scrambled. Remember when it was Scrambled?
Have you ever watched him in negative?
Oh, there's an elbow.
Yeah, there's an elbow.
Have you ever watched him in negative?
Oh my goodness!
Like
that's
a negative
elbow,
photo. I was like,
I actually was one of those
back in the 90s. That's like the best you can get.
What is it? Negative? I remember the Scrambled was the.
Well, this was kind of scrambled, but it was like when you look at a negative photo.
Oh,
so that's what it looked like on screen. It was like they look like negative, like.
Yeah,
but you can still
hey, Jeremy knows. Hey, we used to get black boxes.
Yep.
Yeah,
but listen.
Yeah.
Even though it was scrambled, that sound came in motherfucking crystal clear.
Oh yeah.
Jeremy said that's all I needed.
I watched WrestleMania through freaking through Scrambled. Back
the black boxes, yeah.
People who listen to us that are 20 years old are like, what the hell? Are these guys on acid? What the hell are they talking about?
Invader lives in Canada. He has no fucking idea what we're talking about. He's like, what's
Skinamax? I don't know.
Their Skinamaxes is like their restaurants. You go to everything's a strip club.
Wow. Oh man.
So Skinamax is the equivalent to I don't want to call it porn, but it's like B quality.
Yeah, softcore.
Softcore.
It's very like entry level.
Entry level. They don't actually do it. They just act like they do.
It's entry level, but you don't see entry level.
But yeah.
Oh my god.
Nice.
But Invader, let me tell you something. It gets the job done, buddy, and that's what you want. It gets the job done.
Oh my god!
How did we start talking about?
Yeah, what the hell?
Fucking show's a disaster.
We need one of these off-pace shows every once.
But just to get back on topic, just once, so everybody agrees.
Why did you kill our vibe? You fucking kill our vibe, bro. Come on.
He let us go on. He let us go on a long time.
I just want a quick roundabout panel. Perfect Dark coming back? Yes or no?
Yes.
Yes, hopefully.
No.
Okay, Tim. Yes. All right, guys. All right, guys. Well, I think that. Oh, wait a sec. I don't know. Something's going on weird here with Tim. I'm seeing two Tims here now.
Hey, two Tims is two
Tims.
Yes.
Two Tims.
Yes. Yes.
Oh, okay. There we go.
Yes.
Two Tims. That's a lot of real estate right there. Two Tims. All right.
Two dogs. Okay, guys. Well, I think that about does it for tonight's show.
Dude, Megatron's message right now.
Read it.
This is a family show, and he's showing a GIF of a family or an emote of a family.
Oh my god! Hey, well, he would know. How do you think families are created, Megatron? I mean, we know all about that, buddy. You got to have some Skinamax.
Skinamax.
Gotta have some skin in the game.
All right.
Very educational. Very educational. And yes,
Disaster.
Family show, but we do have education to it. Yes, that's correct. But yeah, guys, that'll be all for tonight. An awesome show, guys. We covered a lot, even some very off-topic things, but it was very fun. Also, hey, a great.
We miss Megatron, man. Hopefully, he gets his mic situated.
Yeah, it's too bad, Megatron, but we'll get you on. Hopefully everything gets fixed for next week. But yeah, we had a great ensemble in the chat tonight. JS, thanks for coming out. Abacab, Valorian, you were with us for a while. 9 Lives. Paris was in here for a very long time. Thanks for tuning in, Paris. Mr. Boomstick was here. 108 Dragons TV. Boom. Lots and lots of great people. Dreadpool. I can go on and on. Thank you guys for coming out. And hey, guys, if you happen to enjoy the show, then hey, consider subscribing for future shows. Like and leave a comment if you would like. All right, guys. Now let's just get to some outros here. Shock, my man. Hey, that was a really good show. Where can everybody follow you at?
Yeah, you can check me out at Shock Nero on Twitter. Easy Shock on Xbox Live, and
not that you're on it. Okay, yeah.
Well, I've been on my Switch trying to get through Final Fantasy VII for the first time. So,
definitely. Southbound. Hey, always a good show with the South guy in the house. Where can people follow you, bud?
You can always get the Emerald King on the Twitter at Southbound 110.
Nice. Centurion, hey, really good comments tonight, buddy. Where can people find you?
Everybody who cares to want to find me can find me on Xbox Live, YouTube, and Twitter at Centurion1307. I also do this fun and entertaining show with you guys every Sunday night, along with Saltiest Gaming on Thursday nights and the Shop Podcast on Saturday nights.
Indeed. Both very fun shows. Jeremy, very educational this evening. Where can people follow you at?
Follow me on Xbox Live, Downer J. On Twitter, Lone Master Who 07. And that's it.
All right, fantastic. And Tim, I hope you're not still choking on some water over there. Where can people find you?
You can find me at xCloud, Tim Dog. On Twitter. The diamond key to my Twitter.
The diamond in the rough.
My emerald key. Like South says.
If I'm the king, Tim is the emperor.
Ooh,
damn.
Some Skinamax tonight.
I was gonna say, did Tim go all Barry White on us?
He sure did. He got all sassy.
Megatron's not here.
I got no work tomorrow, and I'm happy as hell.
Tim, let's play some games. Let's do it.
Yeah, let's play some World War Z. World War Z.
Yeah, we gotta get some of that going on.
Yeah, let's go.
All right. And guys, I'm Invader. You guys can find me at Invader_1986 on Twitter and my YouTube channel, Invader Gaming. Guys, fantastic show. Chat. Thanks for coming out. And we will see you next Sunday.
Invader. Yeah. Shut up.
No.
Gooses.
Peace.
Peace.
Good job.